Good afternoon, evening, is it? Yeah, it's evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Review post-match briefing / Q&A after Rangers 2, Kilmarnock 0 in the Scottish Premiership. We do these now after every single game this season, so do, as you have been, put any comments or questions about the game that you may have in the chat section, and we'll try to get through as many as we possibly can. If you didn't watch the game, or if you did anyway, I'll just give you a brief summary of what happened. It was second half goals from Antonio, Colak and Alfredo Morelos that made the difference for Rangers. I think it was, how would you describe that game? It wasn't the most entertaining, the most exciting game, relatively professional. Rangers in complete control. I can't think of a single chance that Kilmarnock really had, so you've got to consider that when you're maybe thinking that it wasn't as free-flowing as it possibly could have been. The expected goals, I think, were about 1.7 in Rangers' favour to about 0.1. So very one-sided, 2-0, probably a relatively fair scoreline. But equally, I think some things that throughout the game caused a little bit of concerns, probably too harsh a word. But, at this stage of the season, when you're going to be facing this type of game plan a lot of weeks in terms of breaking teams down, I guess you can look at it from two angles. One side, you've got a lot of new players and they're still acclimatising, and with time, hopefully will come better performances. But equally, you could say that Rangers, maybe the tempo wasn't brilliant, and if not for not necessarily a mistake from Kilmarnock, because Rangers capitalised on space really well to score their opener, but they didn't really look like breaking them down for large parts of the first half, in my opinion. But with that said, I think there was some good individual performances. Malik Tillman, for me, was my man of the match. Stephen Davis as well. And Rangers got the 3 points. And as the manager has just said in the press conference, that's what matters. If they get 3 points every week, they'll be in a good place. But it'll be interesting to see what everyone thinks of this performance. As I say, given certainly at halftime, I was kind of thinking, we've seen this game a lot of times before, and I don't know if Rangers have really been good enough to break it down. So do get in touch with what you think about the game. If you were watching it, Broken Nose Boxing, good friend of the show, gets in touch to say, here we go, I'm tuning in from a moving shuttle van in, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. I can't see the emoji, Broken Nose Boxing, so maybe let us know what country you're in, because I've already mispronounced a couple of names this afternoon. Nicaragua, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, hope you're having a nice time. Great to hear that Colak and Morelos got the first goals of the season. Yeah, I just spoken to Antonio Colak there. We'll get to that in a minute, but he was kind of referencing the this is his first week at Rangers and how he's adapting to the team, how he feels he's done. He said sometimes as a striker you don't get a lot of touches, but the important thing is when you do get touches, you score, and he certainly did that. Today, Brian gets in touch to say the passing was awful and defence looked shaky at times. I've got to disagree with you on the defence there, Brian. I think when you don't concede really any chances at all, that's pretty impressive for me. I thought James Sands did well in his physical duels. He lost a few headers, but Kyle Lafferty's significantly taller than him. But that side, the only real chances that Rangers caused, I think, was through overplaying, which is going to happen at points. They had the one where Tom Lawrence near the end and Connor Goldson both kind of overran passages of play. But for me, I thought Rangers looked in total control for the whole game. Jock gets in touch to say, do you think we have 3 goals in us for Tuesday? It's a good question, Jock. I think it depends as well on whether Ryan Kent is back. The manager, I've just been speaking to him, as I say, and he's hopeful that Ryan Kent can get back. Yeah, that's not a definitive yes or no. So I guess we've got to wait and see what will happen for that. But if you've got Morelos looked pretty sharp, and if you've got him and Kent back involved, I certainly think you have a good chance. It'll be a different type of game, but it will still require Rangers breaking down an opponent. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Another contributor here, DWK, gets in touch. Surely Davis starts on Tuesday. I thought Davis was good, really good, and for me the most impressive part of his game was for the second goal. He kind of kept an attack going for Rangers after they'd lost the ball, managed to pounce on it, move his team forwards, and ultimately Matondo kind of eats up the space, and Morelos finishes. So both goals Rangers kind of scored after Kilmarnock were trying to maybe, the second goal wasn't playing out, but they're a little bit higher up the pitch. It is so difficult to break down teams when they're congesting the box so much, but I still think Rangers have some way to go to create chances against opponents, because they're going to face that type of game plan all season where they congest the middle. I actually thought that Matondo could have come on I guess he came on about an hour, but I thought in the first half, Rangers, the area of the pitch they didn't really take advantage of was the wide area. I thought Kilmarnock congested the middle of the pitch and were maybe a little bit too comfortable giving the ball out to the fullbacks. But I agree that Davies, if the game's not too much from in such quick succession, it is a different type of game. But if you're wanting a player from the deep-lying midfield role to open up the opposition defence, I think Stephen Davies is certainly your man. And David gets in touch to say he was the man of the match. I think he's for me it was Tillman. David, I think Davies is a good argument because he obviously made that all-important contribution for the second goal. But interested to know what everyone thinks about Malik Tillman's performance. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Took the ball in, made things happen, outplayed players, just the type of contributions that you need to break down a defence when it's a frustrating game at home. Derek Gray gets in touch to say, looked like we would play all day long and not score until we did. 3 points, the most important. Hopefully the performance will get better. We need it for midweek. Captain Kurtz gets in touch to say, I think we needed some consistent starters for the front three, too many changes and players struggling to find each other with fluent play. Malky says, well done, Colak. Colak took his goal brilliantly. I think found the bottom corner really well. After he'd had I don't know how you'd sum up his first half performance. He was more involved outside the box. I don't think he looked that effective with it. Didn't really have any opportunities, but with that clear opportunity today, he was very, very clinical, and that can be only a good thing. William says, just pay the money for Tillman now, why wait? William, I completely agree with you. I thought he looked absolutely brilliant today, and he will only grow, he'll only get better. The fact that he's hardly been in the building and is already putting in these types of performances, which give a lot of reason to be, a lot of cause for encouragement, I think is a really positive thing for Rangers. Daniel gets in touch. 3 points, the main thing, slow passing, moving up front. However, slow passing / moving up front, passing sideways all the time. Tillman, Lawrence and Davies were the standouts. Yeah, I think Derek McInnes was just saying that his side made Rangers go around them in the first half, which is what they wanted. And I think at points that's okay if you're going to attack from the wide areas, but the difficulty for Rangers in the first half was I just don't think they had maybe the pace of combinations or really ideas apart from Tillman and Lawrence. So I thought Lawrence had a pretty good game to break through, but it's the nature of this game. It's frustrating. It really is an attack versus defence drill, and ultimately 3 points is the proof of it. It's not as if Rangers conceded lots of chances as well, which is obviously a very important factor as well. Prime Time gets in touch, still way off it. It wasn't great. Thomas gets in touch to say definitely needs to improve for Tuesday. Colak and Morelos great, but still want another quality number 9. RFC 56. You want a number 9 in every single show, which I like. You've been obviously speaking about this for quite a while now, and I think you're right that Rangers behind the pair of them, depending on what happens with Roof, still need proof, I guess, that they've signed enough goal scorers. I guess that'll come with time. Lawrence obviously hit the bar with a bit of a pop shot in the first half, but we know that he likes to take a shot based on his early performances so far. Although in saying that, I think to have 2 number 9 score, that's what you want, and with competition for places, taking playing minutes into consideration, that's not a bad place to be in whatsoever. A lot of appreciation for Tillman's performance in there. I tweeted out this morning that I thought that it was a little bit similar this game to last season in the fact that Rangers had a bad result in Europe. Obviously this time it wasn't Malmo, but it was away in Belgium, and they needed a domestic performance to kind of galvanise themselves. And there was a mixed reaction to that in terms of, I think some people are more positive at this stage of the season. Others maybe, where I'd place myself kind of coming into this covering the club, I think that Rangers still need a few domestic games to really, I guess, excite people. That's not a bad thing. That's why people do come to the football after all. And today there was signs of that. Again, Van Bronckhorst's just been speaking in the press conference about the need to give new players time to adapt and adapt to demands. Yilmaz, I see CGM saying it looks very small for Scottish football. I thought he was targeted, but I thought he did pretty well. You could see that he wasn't at his best. He misplayed. He took a bad couple of touches in the first half, but I'm sure that will come with time again. That's what the manager was saying after. Malky says, I agree, we controlled the game from start to finish. Definitely think that was very true, Malky, and that's an important thing to consider when referencing the game. Derek gets in touch to say it was brilliant to see Alfredo do what he does. Yeah, Alfredo Morelos back doing what he does best, which is scoring for Rangers. He came off the bench to quite the reception. When was it, about maybe 65 minutes, 70 minutes, and he looked sharp. He had a good couple of touches. He had a couple of moments in the box. He flashed one across the face of goal, and then he had another moment where he kind of looked like he was about to get on the end of a Tillman through ball, but just had the ball nipped away from him. But he did score that all-important goal at the back post, getting on the end of Rabbi Matondo's cutback after that good play from Stephen Davis. So fantastic to have him back after 5 months. It's a long time to be out and then come back and kind of make some sort of impact and some sort of positive impact. So good to see that from Morelos, and hopefully that is a sign of things to come over the next few weeks. Looking ahead to Tuesday, Ronnie, getting in touch. Who do you think will be in goals on Tuesday? John McLaughlin didn't really have anything to do today, but I think judging on the fact that he's played the 3 games so far this season, it will be McLaughlin again. Generally, I can't think of a single save he had to make. He had to come and punch 1 or 2 cross balls. Aside from that, very quiet. So, I thought he should have done better for the first goal, certainly in Belgium. That said, he also made a couple of good stops to kind of keep the score down, if you will, when Rangers were really on the ropes at one point. And the discussion which we talked about pre-match, McGregor probably a better shot stopper. McLaughlin gives you more with the ball at his feet, and A really is going to probably protect your box a little bit better. So it looks at the moment like McLaughlin is the number one, but Van Bronckhorst has been reluctant to say that so far, reluctant to brand either keeper the number one, and I kind of suspect that this will be the case for the remainder of the season, because if McLaughlin makes a mistake, it'll be McGregor. If McGregor makes a mistake, it'll be McLaughlin. And that's kind of going to be the nature of the situation for me. A lot of comments coming in here about Ben Davies as well. Yeah, I presume that Davies won't start on Tuesday because he didn't play today. There was no word on why that was. I presume he's still just getting up to fitness, but I thought James Sands did well enough again today. Pretty solid in his physical duels with Lafferty, although he did lose some of them. I think that's probably was to be expected. But aside from that, when he did make a mistake, I thought he made up for it well alongside Connor Goldson, and they were pretty solid for me. They controlled it. But yeah, summing up today's game, it wasn't the most exciting, but perhaps when you're playing a team that is that defensive, it's always going to be the case, apart from exceptions. Rangers obviously still getting up to speed with their new signings. It's good that the likes of Tillman and Lawrence seem to be there just now and seem to be contributing just now, but then, you know, Yilmaz and Davies are definitely being brought in to play that left back and left centre back role, and obviously both of them are still kind of getting up to fitness. I wouldn't be too surprised based on today's performance if Barisic starts on Tuesday. I don't think Yilmaz had a bad game, but I think you can still see, and again, the manager just said this in the press conference, you can still see that he's adapting to his new environment. So that'll be one to I guess keep an eye on. The other big talking point today, I guess, is 2 holding midfielders, and that's been something that has been a big topic of discussion this week. And for me today, it afforded Rangers control. You know, the likes of Davis, for example, in that position to start a counter-attack or a counter-press after Rangers lose the ball for the second goal. Also means that you maybe commit one less player in the box. But yeah, ultimately, as I keep coming back to, Rangers did get the 3 points, and based on the kind of the underlying numbers and everything today, it's not a game where you think if it was played X amount of times that they'd have lost many of them. Chance creation still to be worked on, but maybe that will just take a little bit more time with the players that have come into the club. And just finally, before we wrap up, good news about Kent. Hopefully next Tuesday. Yeah, Kent, as DMAC says, the manager says he's hopeful that he'll be there for Tuesday. So I don't think that's a yes or a no. I kind of suspect that the fact that he's had this whole pre-season, it's not a case of he won't be match sharp, he won't be match fit. It will just be that they don't want to irritate whatever injury, or, as Van Bronckhorst said, it kind of came too soon for the winger today. So Kent being back would give everyone a huge lift, just as Morelos did today. I'd be surprised if both of them start, but if they do, then that'll certainly, I think, help Rangers as they try to overturn a 2-goal deficit against Union. That's a big thing to overcome, and I think Rangers will do really well to progress to the next round. I think it's all about an early goal. If they can get an early goal, they can build some momentum. If they don't, we've seen how solid defensively Union can be. So be intriguing to see how Van Bronckhorst approaches that game. We'll be live on Monday and Tuesday, building up to that Saturday now, isn't it? So tomorrow we won't have a morning briefing, but I'll be typing away with some analysis pieces ahead. Looking back on this game, you can subscribe for £2 for 2 months over on the rangersreview.co.uk at the moment and get all the analysis looking back at this game and all the preview for the second leg as well. So do join us on Monday morning for the morning briefing, as I say, to look back on the game from the weekend and look ahead, more importantly, to the European tie. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Saturday night and